Smith, straight out the grove, preaching truth. Visionary like Hawkeye, never spoof. Golden plates in the hand, critics mad. Prophecy unfolded, history to be had. Critics talking smack, saying he's a fake. But J. Smith coming through, stakes on the lake. Pioneering paths, taking no bribes. Faith unshakable like tectonic vibes. Joseph Smith bringing the heat. Critics bow down, face the defeat. Scripture warrior, ain't no retreat. Historic moves, legacy complete. Book of Mormon full of verses got him hooked. Critics shook, left in the nook, overcooked. Hitting revelation like a Sunday choir. Critics in a whirlwind, caught in the fire. Eloquent with rhyme, preaching new belief. Critics in the shadows, shrouded deep in grief. Restoration, foundation strong and bold. Joseph Smith's tale, eternally retold. Haters gotta step, Smith's here to stay. Bringing light to the dark, night into the day. Critics cry foul, but the cat's out the bag. Joseph's truth shines, never gonna lag. Book of Mormon flow, verses got him hooked. Critics shook, left in the nook, overcooked. Hitting revelation like a Sunday choir. Critics in a whirlwind, caught in the fire. Eloquent with rhyme, preaching new belief. Critics in the shadows, shrouded deep in grief. Restoration, foundation strong and bold. Joseph Smith's tale, eternally retold. Haters gotta step, Smith's here to stay. Bringing light to the dark, night into the day. Critics cry foul, but the cat's out the bag. Joseph's truth shines, never gonna lag. Smith, straight out the grove, preaching truth. Visionary like Hawkeye, never spoof. Golden plates in the hand, critics mad. Prophecy unfolded, history to be had. Critics talking smack, saying he's a fake. But J. Smith coming through, stakes on the lake. Pioneering paths, taking no bribes. Faith unshakable like tectonic vibes. Joseph Smith bringing the heat. Critics bow down, face the defeat. Scripture warrior, ain't no retreat. Historic moves, legacy complete. Book of Mormon full of verses got him hooked. Critics shook, left in the nook, overcooked. Hitting revelation like a Sunday choir. Critics in a whirlwind, caught in the fire. Eloquent with rhyme, preaching new belief. Critics in the shadows, shrouded deep in grief. Restoration, foundation strong and bold. Joseph Smith's tale, eternally retold. Haters gotta step, Smith's here to stay. Bringing light to the dark, night into the day. Critics cry foul, but the cat's out the bag. Joseph's truth shines, never gonna lag.
Oh boy, have we got a doozy for you tonight here, folks. We have with us here Cami from Simply Saints. Thank you for joining. You actually called this
I
to
did.
do us
I
today.
did. I
Oh man.
said, "Who's gonna get it done? It'll be Monty. We got this."
Yeah, you give me less than 24 hours, I get it done. No. Let's no, this is actually going to be really fun. Well, hopefully not as fun as we want, cuz we're actually talking about some pretty heavy topics today.
Yes, very much
Um,
so.
it is something that I think we've noticed here, and let's see,
It's
how do
been
I
it's
put this?
been it's been a long time coming, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it came to a head in a very tragic way. But
Yes. Well, the thing is though is that my personal opinion is that I don't think we're done yet. I really don't, and that's the
no,
scary thing.
no,
Um, I wonder honestly if we are heading back toward 1830s Missouri with everything that has
right,
been going on.
right. And something to kind of point out though is there's a forgotten massacre that happened
Mhm.
from Latter-day Saint history, and it's called the Cane Creek Massacre. It happened in 1884, August 10th, 1884. And so but the themes there are very similar. So I mean, you guys can just look it up. Cane Creek Massacre. It happened in Tennessee, right up the road from me, actually. Well, within a couple of hours. But, really, it just there seems to be a theme of anti-Mormon rhetoric and hate, but it's never really deemed as such. And so that's just something that I would like to talk about tonight, just like, when is the rhetoric become responsible for the hate,
Right.
become responsible for the violence?
Right.
And so with that happening in King Creek, some people dressed up like Klan members and took the lives of a couple of people at a worship service there as well. And it was thought that it was anti-Mormon rhetoric that caused that as well. So anyway, but as we know with the Grand Blanc massacre, I'm calling it, there was a crazed man who drove his truck into to the chapel and lit the church on fire and then shot the worshipers there.
Mhm.
It is supposedly I don't have any confirmation about this yet that supposedly the shooter, the gunman, said that asked the congregants if they believed or worshipped or loved Joseph Smith or Jesus Christ, and then if they didn't answer quick enough, that they were shot. I don't have confirmation on that yet. This is third hand source at this point, but if that's the case, then this most definitely is anti-Mormon bigotry brought to violence. So I don't know. I just wanted to talk about the reactions that a lot of people have talked about, good, bad, wholesome, coming together, divisive. So I don't, and I
Yeah.
also wanted your take on that too. So what have
Um,
you been hearing?
I wonder if there's something wrong with my algorithms, to be quite honest, because
You
no, I
you haven't
have.
heard
I
any?
absolutely have. What I'm saying here is that like there was only one video on my TikTok for you page that was even somewhat positive of people coming together, from opposing viewpoints. And I'm
Mm,
like, I haven't seen this at all. Where is this coming from? Um yeah, and
really?
but the thing is, like, it's probably been the same thing for you, but like on X, on certain places in Facebook, TikTok, like it's been just so vitriol. I mean, the bodies weren't even cold when people were throwing out,
No.
was like, "Don't say this is a Christian church. They weren't Christian." Like,
Yeah.
really? Yeah.
Immediately othering. Okay, and so that's was my experience as well. So on social media, I did see a few pastors, I did see a few evangelicals speak out and say, "Now is not the time to talk about doctrine. This was a tragedy that happened, and we need to come together and mourn with those that mourn and comfort those that
Mhm.
stand in need of comfort." Like
Right.
a good Christian should. Um, and there have been a handful of those. I would say that it's been kind of a drop in the bucket. Of course, you're gonna have those who oppose Mormonism be much louder and have a larger platform to talk about how they're
Right.
demons in the church. And Mark
Oh my
Driscoll is
gosh.
one of them, who is just very adamant, advocating to preach to the Mormons. And this is unfortunately something that I've heard like all of my life. I live in the evangelical Bible Belt, where um, there people are more sad if they don't go to the church that
Right.
they go to, because then they are deemed as not Christian, and if they pass away, then they are not saved. So if that's something that you're seeing on social media, that is a common evangelical thought, that if you're not Christian and you pass away, you are damned to hell. And so you will see more tears shed because of these lost souls, not necessarily because of them
Mhm.
passing away or comforting those who have lost family members. So this is unfortunately a very common talking point amongst
Right.
evangelical Christianity. Um,
And it
yeah.
oh my gosh.
So
Yeah, I'm still kind of fired
I,
up about this. Like the fact oh my gosh. Like
I am too.
you
Yeah.
and I have had, have come across several people from, ex-Mormons, evangelicals, that kind of thing, who were just so vitriolic. All this. I mean, this was a hard weekend to be a Latter-day Saint,
Yeah.
admittedly.
Yeah.
We
It has.
had,
It
the
has.
death of President Nelson, and then this at Grand Blanc. I mean,
Mhm.
this is, absolutely horrendous. In fact, like you were able to capture some screenshots um from this.
Yeah, just on X, you would just have to put in a search, and
Mhm.
you can see that there's that people are not outright saying things, but they're saying just enough to make you
Right.
feel uncomfortable.
So, I mean, for whatever reason, it's not wanting to come up here. Let me try something else here, because this is, I think, one of the things that honestly needs to be addressed here um, relatively quickly. But we have here a few of the
Yeah.
tweets that you were talking about. Um,
This one was the one that really got to me. I'm not quite sure why, but this
Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, Protestia
Protestia.
amid the attack on the Mormon Church. Here is a quick reference for folks wanting to know what Mormons believe. While you read it, ask yourself: is this biblical Christianity? From Justin Taylor, Mormons claim that God the Father was once a man, and then he progressed to show more. Progressed. Okay, so okay, I'm not gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
progressed
get
to
it.
yeah, yeah.
We get it.
We all know that. Yeah.
It-
It's a snippet from the King Follett sermon that gets completely taken out of context, and it's not even accredited or
right.
attributed to the
Right.
proper person. So, not to mention Athanasius said it long before Lorenzo Snow
Yeah,
or Joseph Smith.
so
So,
Kiori, I
um,
will admit, I this was me being kind of dumb reading stage directions. So that was kind of the thing. Okay, but yeah, that was just a screenshot that you got, Cammy. All that, but no, and just to kind of cover a super chat here from Kiori, I am a Latter Day Saint, and I plan to go to hell to empty it of its prisoners, just like Jesus Christ did.
yes, let's go.
Um, Absolutely.
Yes,
So thank you for that, Kiori, for the $5. So yeah, this is again, it's just so disheartening to see that. And again, we're seeing what has happened in Missouri. I mean, heck, look at these other screenshots here.
right.
Time to round up the Mormons. Mormons love to lie all the time. Round up all the Mormons.
Yeah.
None of them in Utah can be trusted. They're not Christian. Plus, they love the Book of Mormon. Straight up, we need to round up every single Mormon on the planet. Are you kidding me? Oh,
Right, right. And then on that one, which I didn't catch on that one, is like, what do you exactly mean by that? And he had a gif of like,
oh, jeez.
you know. So, and this is coming after, of course, the assassination on of Charlie Kirk, um, and the semi quasi relationship that the
Hmm.
supposed shooter had in contact with the church is not a far leap for those who are probably mentally unable to cope to make that link, and especially like the shooter at
Hmm.
Grand Blanc, that he apparently had a relationship and broke up with somebody who was Latter Day Saint. um all of this to a mentally unstable mind can
Mhm.
easily trigger something like what just happened at Grand Blanc. So, um, not to say, eh, I just say that to say that Latter-day Saints are at the forefront, and I implore any Latter-day Saint to take a voice of calm, a voice of peace because of things like this happening. I didn't think it would go this far. I don't think it's the end either, unfortunately. I do think we can still seek refuge and peace in our churches, and we just have to be vigilant and know what the plan is if something
Dude,
like this happens again.
given where this took place, I mean, it's possible that this could be happening still in Utah where I'm at, but I mean, you're in the deep south, Cammy. I mean, how are
Right.
you feeling about
Right.
this? Are you feeling safe at all?
I think, fortunately enough for me and my community, I love that being a Latter-day Saint, we are taught to be in the world, but not of the world. You're not supposed to seclude yourself and only be the group of Mormons that travel in a pack, you know. So fortunately enough for me, I feel like I have enough example in the community, and that's something that my family, my husband and I have talked about that we're not Mormon forward. We very much are like, let me be involved in the community. Let me do the things that I like to do in the community and not be ostracized from the community. And then later they find out that we are Latter-day Saint and they go, "Oh, well, all of these things that I heard about the Latter-day Saints like that like you didn't exemplify any of that. Your fruits," which they wouldn't say this, but your fruits are different than what I would have expected. So I'm not afraid because I know what happened in Grand Blanc too, the community around the church didn't care if they were Mormon or not. They stepped in and they're doing fundraisers and they're taking care of their people, regardless of if they're Mormon or not. So I am very fortunate to know that I have sources and resources outside of my ward that will help me. And I know that they would not, obviously, not approve of anything like this. I think that most loud voices that we hear are online, and they're too cowardly to do anything. To be honest with you, they just say a lot of rhetoric and let other people to
Yeah.
do the dirty
Yeah.
work for them.
I mean, I have to appreciate this comment though. Wait, that's why your bread is so good. That's awesome. Um, oh yeah.
Super
But
good.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that we're looking at here. Like, again, the bodies weren't even cold. That's the thing that gets me about this.
No,
And like these are the
right. There's no respect for individuals, no respect for the dead. There's just no respect. It's just automatically you have to let them know that you
Mhm.
are different than them, that they
Mhm.
are different than you, that you can be trusted because you believe a certain way, but they are automatically othered. And they'll say, "Oh, it's a tragic thing that happened, but
Well,
they were demons. It's a tragic thing that happened,
well, and
but
this is
the
the
church
entire
is
thing. We
bad."
have the motive from this shooter. I'm not even going to mention his name because he doesn't
Right.
deserve, like, he as an individual does not deserve the respect.
No.
But his stated purpose of it was because he felt that Mormons were the antichrist. And apparently, like, I'm going to
Right.
go back up to a previous comment here. Um where he said he was trying to convert but wasn't allowed to be baptized because he had tattoos, which was obviously a lie.
Yeah, that's not true.
Absolutely a lie. It's not true. And there's a lot more to it than that, but the fact that he was calling Latter-day Saints satanic, the children of Satan, whatever, antichrist, whatever, and then to go and do this, like, did he somehow think that he was some kind of avenging angel? And where did he get that kind of rhetoric to begin with?
Oh, we know where he got that rhetoric. And that's one things that evangelical online pastors have a really hard time with is they don't want to take accountability for having
Mhm.
that kind of rhetoric. As Christians, they want to make sure that the things that they are saying is, it's got enough of a trigger so people or clickbaity, so people will come in and listen
Right.
to them. Because
Right.
Mormon's a clickbait word, anybody can
It
say
is.
Mormon, and you just bring in a whole bunch of people.
Well, the funny thing is that these are the kind of people that will also be like, say back in 2018 when President Nelson was like, we are no longer going to refer to ourselves as Mormon. The I'm a Mormon campaign is done.
Right.
LDS.org is going to be changed to Church of Jesus Christ. Mormon.org is going to be changed to ComeUntoChrist.org. Like, even then, like, oh, they're going through a rebranding. They're going through a rebranding. Like, hold on.
It's always been the name. Yeah.
It's always been the name.
Yeah.
It has been the official name of the church since 1838. And so, like, it's that same type of moniker where, like, you go back to the nickname Christian. What did the members of the church refer to themselves? They referred to themselves as saints. Saints wasn't you'll have to excuse my kids playing in the background if you can hear them.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We're it's a family event.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the but like they refer to themselves as saints. It wasn't like a special moniker for people who have been deified for whatever reason.
Right, right.
Those were regular lay members of the church.
Yeah.
And then
Followers of the way.
followers are the way. And then, when it came right down to it, Christian became the nickname. Oh, look at the little Christs. Look at the little Christs, oh, frolicking around over there. Stick the lions on them. But that's that was the things that were pretty much done to the Christians. They were given the name of Christian as a moniker, as a derogatory moniker, and it was the same thing that happened to us as a people, as Latter-day Saints. But he's like, you know what? Mormon was a good guy. Mormon was a decent prophet. So you know what? We'll own it. But at the same time, I can understand, like, especially lately, where so many people will still use the moniker. And on social media, especially those that followed the prophet's counsel, you can see that divide versus those that were not in line with what the prophet said, or those that had left the church or whatever. Those that kept the moniker Mormon, you kind of could tell now are not friendly toward the church.
Yeah, those intentionally saying Mormon and intentionally, I mean, you can look on the news reports that these things happen at the Church of Latter-day Saints or the
Yeah.
Church of Mormon. We hear that all the time, and at this point, I still want to hold the benefit of the doubt for a lot of these people because they don't know the full name of the church, but it's easy to look it up. And I do think that there are a good number of people that intentionally leave out the name of Jesus
Right.
Christ.
Well, and that's the
I can
problem.
see that.
That was President Nelson's whole push
Yeah.
for that. We need to remember who we are. We are disciples of Jesus Christ. And I have to show this comment because it irks me too. I
Yeah.
hate the
The Church
Church
of
of
Latter-day Saints.
Latter-day Saints. Oh gosh.
I
Oh,
did see a post where somebody was like, the Church of Latter-day Saints, like, you've already said so many syllables, just add Jesus Christ. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Like,
mhm.
you could just add those two words to it.
Right. And we may and Kiori may be correct again. The journalism of yellow reporting. I mean, it's we're seeing a return of yellow journalism, although we've been seeing a return of yellow journalism, but that's a different topic for another day.
Right.
But the concept here though is that people are trying to still remove the fact that we worship Jesus Christ, that we
Right.
follow Jesus Christ, that this is his church. It's not the Church of Luther. It's not some nebulous Catholic. It's not the church of the Four Seasons down on the corner there. This is the thing that we're looking at. Who do we worship? Who do we follow?
Right.
Whose church is it?
Yeah.
All
And
right.
they often can't stand that we use the name of Jesus Christ. And so that's why they have to say, okay, it's a different
Mm-hmm.
Jesus. And I was just talking to somebody, well, we were TikToking back and forth about that in particular, about
Yeah.
how when in the news they report the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and then other people go, well, this is a tragedy, but I'm just going to let you know, even though they have Jesus Christ in their name, they're not actually Christians. Um,
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's the double standard for me, I swear.
right. Right, and then when we push back and say, "You could at least say our name, and you can at least acknowledge that we are Christians," and then that whole debate and fight starts, and that since we don't believe in the triune God, we are not Christians, and they
Mhm.
stand for truth. So I was talking to, I don't know if you have that clip from Jordan, but that's okay if you don't.
Yeah, I
Um,
actually have that up. Do you
right.
wanna react to that right now?
That's fine.
Okay, let's go ahead and do that here. Let me see if I can get the actually, hold up. Let me see if I can get the sound. Okay, also share with a tab instead. Alright, never mind then.
No, that's good. As you
Okay.
get to do that, like, I'll explain. So Jordan is a TikToker, and I believe that he's also on Instagram, and he has continuously had conversations with me and Monty and many other Latter-day Saint apologists. And he continues steelman our positions on what we believe. And instead, he'll go off and say, no, you actually are not what you say you are because of some uh, teaching manual in 1964 on page 28. Like,
Right.
there's no understanding basic doctrine, and no, we don't expect him to agree, but there's a lot of that going on where you're just kind of like skirting around the actual issue just to try to nitpick and find a problem and proof text something. So,
Right. Yeah, so let me see. I think I figured it out here, so give me
oh, you're
1
good.
second to find. But yeah, no, this is something that I think a lot of people don't quite understand when it comes to our our understanding. And so we sometimes have to go through it, but honestly lately I have gotten to the point where I actually do kind of agree with them. We do not worship the same Jesus.
Now, at this
There,
point, no, we don't worship a triune
no.
God. You're correct. It's not biblical, though.
No, it's not biblical, not even close. And that's the thing is that like we worship the Jesus of the Bible, they worship the Jesus of some nebulous creeds that
Hmm.
is somehow so vast he can fill the entire universe and yet so small he can enter into the heart of man. I really love and this was something that my dad gave me to listen to pretty often on my mission is from Matthew Cowley called Earning the Right to Brag. And when describing the Trinity, like Matthew Cowley's thing was so spot on. It's like, okay, so the Father is the Father, the Father is the Son, Father is the Holy Ghost, the Son is the Father, Son is the Son, Son is the Holy Ghost is the Father, Holy Ghost is the Son, Holy Ghost is the Holy Ghost, blue is black, black is white, white is red, and they're all yellow.
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
it makes just
Makes
as much sense.
complete sense. Yes.
So here we go. There is a reason though why the Lord called the creeds an abomination. But here's that video, like the response that you made to Jordan, and he responded to you. I
Hmm.
think is something that we can kind of go for here.
Mormon is not a Christian because
Hey, Jordan, you need to read the room.
I am reading the room. We are being blamed for this attack. We're being blamed for it, and that is not going to go unchallenged. Let's get that clear.
Okay, I wanna stop right there and address that first and
Mm.
foremost. He is being blamed, or at least evangelicals are being blamed because they are parroting the same type of claptrap that is being spouted by twits like Mark Driscoll and James White.
And what
And
do they
yes,
say?
I
They say there's.
used I could use much harsher words, but that was the
Oh,
kindest
no.
words that I could use to refer to them.
Yep. Yep. They are constantly, because they're out, both of them are out in Arizona, aren't they?
Mhm.
They are constantly at the anti-Mormon preaching that I wonder what they actually talk about in church, because half the time they're talking about Mormons. And it's
Yeah.
hilarious to me that we often are get, Galatians 1:8, Galatians 1:8. And I'm like, if you go to church and you're having some lesson or a sermon that preaches against another church, is that the gospel of Jesus Christ? No, it's not.
Right.
The gospel of Jesus Christ is the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and anything that builds that testimony is the gospel of Jesus Christ, not
Right.
talking about some other church. And this is another post that I made about positive apologetics versus negative apologetics. And Latter-day Saints are very good at evangelism and positive apologetics. Hey, come and see what we teach. See what we're all about. We'll teach you. If you have any questions, we'll talk to you about it. And we don't we don't go, hey, look at that Baptist church down the street. They're wrong because such and such and such. We don't do that. We don't do that at church. Um, in apologetics, we don't even really do it. We are very much a positive apologetics, a positive evangelical type of people. Whereas
Mhm.
you have Mark Driscoll and then Jeff Durbin, all these other people who build a platform off of dissing other churches, and that's not the gospel. So it's like Galatians 1:8, Uno reverse card. Like, please look at your own
Right?
sermons, look at your own congregants and see what they are actually needing. How are they being fed? You can't feed them by showing them the fruits of another church and taking that away. You have to feed them with something. Um,
Mhm.
and so yeah, so while Jordan, I don't think anybody's blaming him as an individual or even the things that he talks about as to the rhetoric as to why this guy went off and did what he did in Grand Blanc, but he hasn't pointed out the problem. He refuses to even talk about the real issue here, and instead
Mhm.
he's going to Mormons aren't Christian. What a load of good that does in this situation.
Right.
It doesn't do any good at all. He could be talking about going to serve your neighbor, donating to the families, which I've seen the church or members of the Latter-day Saint Church already set up donations, and people in the local community are already reaching out. And so people who are talking heads on social media not doing any good. And that's why I said earlier, like, you have people who say who actually do the dirty work of these talking heads, and they don't take
Mhm.
any personal accountability. So anyway, I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah, no. Yeah, let's continue on because he's getting riled up just like I am.
I know,
But
me too. Let's go.
let's
We are
go.
going to challenge that. And Mike Lee gets to use this tragic event, which is tragic, by the way, which is very evil, sick, twisted, demented, never should have happened. Mike Lee is using this to promote the church and say that you are Christians.
Because we are,
And
Jordan.
it's not a promotion. We're not I don't I'm not even sure what Mike Lee's even what maybe you know, but like it's this isn't a debate. This is not a
No.
time to debate. We claim we're Christian. We say we're Christian because we have the name Jesus Christ and we believe in the death, burial, and resurrection and atonement of Jesus Christ. We're Christians. And so, yeah,
Mhm.
keep going.
All right.
He'll hit
And
his
then list
point.
out the reasons why that cannot be let go unchallenged. Like, we're not going to let it go.
Jordan,
This-
okay, so okay. I'm trying. I'm
I
trying.
know.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
I can feel it.
Oh, okay. So
I've got my water.
right. So here's the deal. Like you, myself, and in fact, like I've been blocked by Jordan on TikTok, and he
Right.
claims that I was like insufferable to him. Like, no, I actually pointed out several times in where he was wrong. And
Right.
Jordan's whole MO, we want to talk about truly being Christian.
Right.
The yeah, okay, I gotta show this. But if you don't follow, then I say you're
Just drop it,
just drop it,
brah.
brah. Just drop it, brah. But no, so like we've crossed swords with Jordan before, and on several times. In fact, this is
Yes.
like Jordan is
And
responding to
he
your video.
says that I don't. Right. He hasn't blocked me yet, but he won't engage with me because I have no authority in the church. He thinks that Jacob Hansen has authority. He thinks that
Hmm.
Colton has authority. So he'll engage with those people on those platforms, but or he'd like to try to engage with Jacob Hansen. I don't
Right.
think he's had it. Yeah, I don't think he'll do that. But
Jacob, for the most part, doesn't like punching down. And
no,
even
no.
even even if Jordan happens to get as many followers as or subscribers as Jacob, it would still be punching
It
down.
would it wouldn't benefit Jacob at all to do this.
It
And
wouldn't. It certainly wouldn't benefit Jordan. Jeez.
no, no. So yeah, so I wanted to engage in, respectful dialogue and do debates and things like that. And he said that I have no authority in the church, so it wouldn't
Gosh.
be worth his time. And it's mainly because I'm a woman, right? So that's where he thinks. So he just hasn't blocked me yet because I'm not mean like you, Monty. So, um,
Well, that
Yeah. So
okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if after this back and forth that he would have blocked me by now. But
Well, yeah.
according to him also that we're professional apologists. Just so you know. I wonder like cuz my check didn't come in the mail
What
last week.
professional
So
apologist? Like, yeah, where's my check? Jeez.
So he likes to talk, and he said this before. He likes to talk to the average member, which apparently we're not the average member, and he really just wants to talk to somebody who doesn't know about the handbook in 1964, page 28,
Oh, brother.
and call that. But anyway, so this is what he's talking about. Like you have to defend blah 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 blah, where he won't engage in dialogue at any other time, but now's the time to fight back against the lies
Mhm.
that is Mormonism.
Well, and again, just like in my Charlie Kirk video that I posted last week, I okay, I have to show this again too.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
don't
true.
confuse volume for aggression, folks. Don't do that. I grew up in a
Is
very
is
media heavy home. My dad was a
is my
broadcaster.
mic loud enough? Should I get closer to my mic?
I grew up in a very media heavy home and a very loud home, which kind of carried over into my own thing with given how my kids were acting earlier. But the circumstance here though is that again, if you wanted me to get angry and to get loud and to actually yell, trust me, you'd know. Um,
This ain't it. I know.
that ain't it. My dad was a broadcaster. I'm a pseudo broadcaster doing this kind of thing. But that's I think the thing here. And then to respond to LDS Catholic here, do LDS wish to debate evangelicals or Catholics? I'm always down for a debate.
I
I
love to debate either one.
Yeah.
I actually appreciate Catholics probably a little bit more because they do have, church tradition and
Mhm.
they respect and understand that we have traditions as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish to debate evangelicals, Catholics, anyone that is willing to kind of step into the ring with either one of us. But the thing is though too is that eventually it can get into a shouting match. There are
Yeah,
times.
it needs to be fruitful for sure.
Yes, it does need to be fruitful, but we also need to be willing to. Well, I mean, for an MMA standard, if any of you are familiar with MMA, it's called matching the intensity. So if someone comes out right out of the gate swinging, you need to be prepared to swing right back, and they should not be prepared if they get hit. They shouldn't be upset if they get hit. Basically, I mean that's the you've seen me debate, Cammy. I mean, come on.
I know. We have a disagreement on that because I'm like, own the energy, and you're like, match it.
Match it, right? So I mean, we don't have to agree on everything. We're still friends.
Right, right, right.
But yeah, let's hear what Jordan has to say for the last
Yeah,
15 seconds.
finish the Jordan.
Okay? Three things are true here. This was objective evil, never should have happened.
Good.
Christians are not responsible for this. And number three, we do not worship the same God. You don't worship a triune God. I do. Truth is truth 24/7.
Truth
I
is
agree.
truth 24/7.
Yes.
We worship a triune God. You don't. Where is that in the Bible? Where is
Yeah.
the truth in that? Also, I will say we don't know the religious status of the person who committed this massacre. We I I have heard reports that he did attend another local church, but that's not to say that he is a member. When it comes to non-denominational churches, you can show up and you can be a part of worship services, but you're not like a member. So
Right.
that's actually an interesting way that a lot of evangelicals get out of saying like Christians aren't responsible for this because so and so just attended services occasionally at another church. But
Mhm.
so not to say that all Christians are responsible for it, but this one individual could have very well been a Christian as well.
Yeah, given the rhetoric that this guy was spouting off, I would not be surprised if he was a Driscollite.
Yeah,
But at the same
yeah,
but at the same time, it doesn't matter who he was. It doesn't
right.
matter what
It doesn't.
denomination he went to. It doesn't
It
matter if he
doesn't.
was religious at all.
And we're not
Um,
and I for one am not blaming another individual for the actions that this
Mhm.
person did. Like, I, for one, don't hold that. And I know most Latter-day Saints, and I will say most Latter-day Saints don't hold that as well.
Right.
We don't, we preach of Christ, was that Second Nephi 25, 26? Is that 25?
We preach of Christ, we testify of Christ, and
Thank you.
we write according to our prophecies, yeah.
That's why I have you around, because you memorize all that stuff. So,
I'm
yeah,
weird.
yeah, my brain does not work that way. So most Latter-day Saints are very peaceable and are very kind, and if anything happens in the local community, they will be the first to be there to help you out.
Mhm.
And also they will be the first to forgive. I think I just found an ex uh, that there was one of the man, I just lost it. Just refreshed and I lost my page. Anyway, one of the family members of the people who passed in this tragedy actually did come out and say that they forgive the person who did it, and
Yeah.
they don't hold anybody else accountable or responsible for it. Um, so I mean, that's just, why are we talking, like, we could come together, and that's what this whole thing was about, is like, we could come together and call evil evil and leave it at that. We don't have to say, yes, that was evil, but also don't think we're on the same team. Don't think we're on the same team, because
Right.
you're still not. You're still over there. What happened to you was bad, but stay over on that side. Like, I think it's ridiculous. And I also don't think that Latter-day Saints are vying for the approval of mainstream Christianity. I've also heard that argument a lot lately too, and I think that's absolutely ridiculous. We obviously have different doctrines and the way that we approach things, and that's totally fine. But we do what we want, and we also believe that there's like a covenant path and things that we need to actually do in order to be uh, right with God.
Mhm.
Um, and some people might take that, and that's with the other TikTok thing I had for you. I didn't know if you wanted to pull that up or not, but
Uh,
um,
yeah,
if it's
I do wanna show this though, 'cause
yeah, you're
I
good.
think this is something that shows true Christian principles, honestly. So,
Yeah.
this right here, this is a give,
Yes.
send, go
Yes.
for the family of the shooter.
Of the shooter,
Th
the family of the shooter, because didn't he
He
have a
did.
child with some needs that were
Yeah.
either medical or special
Yeah,
needs.
I
I
mean,
can't remember what it was.
look at this, like
And that's the first thing that people thought, was to set up a
right!
fundraiser for the people he left behind.
Like, this is what true Christianity looks like. This is Matthew 5:44 in action right here. Love your enemies,
Mm,
do good to them that hate you. This is exactly what Christianity looks like. Helping the Sanford family. And like you mentioned, and just like with Erica Kirk at Charlie Kirk's funeral, saying that she forgave
mhm.
his shooter. This is exactly the kind of things that anyone who is a true follower of Christ, anyone who is a saint, as in a follower of Jesus, should be doing.
Follower
Follower
of the
of the
way.
way
Yep.
should be doing. Help the Sanford family. This was set up by a member of that church, of that ward. Like
Mhm.
this is something that we ought to do, and I can't help but be so happy that this is there. How often do you think that like
Yeah. That's quite
yeah,
quite honestly, that is not the first thought that crossed my mind, is, "Oh, what about the shooter's family, and
right.
to set up funds for them for his kid later." Yeah, that's not the
Yeah.
first thought that crossed my mind. So that really warmed my
Mhm.
heart, and made me think, this is
Yes.
unity. This is what it means to come together. Who cares where you're at doctrinally?
Mhm.
Like, who
Yeah.
cares? There's people who are affected by this, and um, they're suffering and will suffer for quite a long
Right.
time. And we need to not forget them and still be there for them in the future too. And I know there is also a fundraiser set up for the
Of
victims
course. Yeah.
as well. But yeah, but this in particular, it it just shows the
Yeah.
goodness that's there.
But this is one of the things that, you and I have come across as well. Um
Yeah.
and yeah.
So this, yeah, this is, you want to lead into
You
this?
go ahead.
You're
You
familiar?
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, no. Well, and this is an ex-Mormon, and I've had conversations with her as well. And honestly, most of the time they've been actually decent until a few months
Mhm.
ago and up to this point. I just couldn't believe that th- there have been ex-Mormons or those who have left the church that have messaged me and made sure that like I was good, even though like I have no relation, just because I'm a
Right.
Mormon. Like they reached out to any Mormon that they could talk to and say, "Hey, are you good? Like I'm here for you," which I thought that was incredibly kind, and I appreciated that. Also, so with this example, I just thought it was interesting that she said something that was a very anyway, you can play it. There's a certain word that she said that was very
Mhm.
interesting to me, and I want to
Yeah,
know if you
just
catch
a bit
that.
of a content warning. If you're expecting this to be a completely clean stream, throw that out the window because this particular creator likes to use some
Yeah, I'm
pretty
not.
interesting language. So,
Yeah, so I'm not quite sure if she does
yeah.
in this one or not. I
So,
can't remember, but yeah, go ahead.
play.
We as white people do not pay attention when violent words are spoken. And the violence of the church is in its words. If that's not your
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
not even the
not
word that's not even the
it's not
word
even
that
the thing.
I'm.
But this is the kind of mentality that so many of the ex-Mormons have. Like,
Yeah,
oh, well, and this was the kind of rhetoric that was used in order to justify doing things like Charlie Kirk.
right.
Like, oh, it's the words that are violent. Therefore, we're justified in
L-
using.
Literally, literally had a massacre happen, and yet the church's rhetoric is
Yeah,
violent and continue. And I can explain a little bit more
yeah.
what she means by violent rhetoric.
experience, move along. But believe me, there's a lot of us who are having some seriously complicated feelings
Oh, I
today.
wonder why.
And it's really hard to feel sorry when people who support an institution that has violent rhetoric and has officially come out and told the Supreme Court that it feels like it should be allowed to be bigoted and discriminatory towards people that we love. It's really, really hard to feel sorry.
This happened, that she posted this after
Again, the
the
bodies
shooting,
weren't
and
even
she just
cold.
made another. Right. She and I'm not even sure if she's she had another post where it's like she felt bad for the individuals and of course the victims, but then she went ahead and she made
Mhm.
this post.
Well, you notice that a
I
lot
mean,
of the
and
times,
so
like
so
this particular individual, and it's so many. Like she was one of the people who I came across like on the ex-Mormon side of things on TikTok when I first got on the app about
yeah.
5-ish years ago, and she, among several others, were probably among the worst out of all of them. Several of them have kind of stepped away from talking about the church, but she's one of the ones who haven't. But that's because she's
Right.
gotten notoriety from it. They're getting money from this. The well hasn't dried up for
Yeah.
them yet.
Well, and the term that she used there is that the feelings are complicated. I just wanted, that's the word that I was
Mhm.
wanting to point out to you. I was like, what's complicated about these feelings?
Yeah. And
So I don't know if
it
I
goes
don't know
down
for a
well,
minute,
it's the
because I'm
whole
like,
violent
what's
rhetoric.
what's
What violent
complicated?
rhetoric? Right.
Right. What is it?
You know,
We
what
have
what what
we have
violent
covenants and
rhetoric is being
ordinances.
used here?
We have we have laws that we covenant to obey. And so how can these feelings be complicated, and you don't know if you can feel sorry or not, because you had a bad relationship with the church.
Mhm. Well, the
I don't
thing
know. I don't get
given
it.
given the stance that she's had and other videos that she's created,
Mhm.
it has to do with the church's stance on the law of chastity.
Oh yeah, it
You
boils down to that.
dare to defend the law of chastity in any of these forms, then it
But
is
how
violent
how is
rhetoric. It is bigoted.
How is that bigoted to have certain standards that if you want to be a part of a community, there are certain social expectations to have,
Mhm.
but that's not violent.
Right.
Nowhere in that is violent. And so anyway, I just thought it was interesting she used the word complicated feelings
Yeah.
about things, especially
Well,
after what just
because
happened.
it's used to justify
Exactly.
the actions that these people take.
And
You
they'll
know,
say, "No, no,
you
no, I
say
didn't
you
say."
see such hurtful words that hurt my fifis.
Yeah,
Therefore,
like,
we get
but
to take
they'll
a gun and blast your head off. I'm sorry. What?
but that's that's the thing is they'll never go so far as to say any of that, and they'll say, "No, no, no, I never said that." Um,
But they
and
justify it.
but they justify it in some way or another. Whether there's that but afterwards anyway.
Mhm.
Um, so I like also that there's the Bishop Jeffrey Schaub from Grand Blanc. He shared an update with the ward members. And I'll just read it because I can't play the video. But this
Mhm.
is it's just a stark contrast. It's just I can't wrap my head around just the great divide right now that's happening. Um, so he said, "We will be happy and find joy again. I know there are a lot of people suffering right now, but we share in that testimony and that love of Jesus Christ that through him we will find that peace and joy that is missing today and tomorrow and the next few days, but it will come." So just feel that contradiction right there,
Yeah.
between somebody who's justifying some sort of crime in whatever way, in language or means or actions or whatever, and then the bishop of this ward who witnessed, who was there, who is involved in this, um, in trying to rescue these people out of this tragedy, and he says that it's going to be it's going to be difficult, but we will have peace through Christ. Um, so I just that's it's just shocking to me how the the dichotomy we've got right now, and
Mhm.
it's up to people like us, and it's up to people on the evangelical side, on the anti-Mormon side, to find that line and draw it in the ground, and just be willing to say, even the way that I talk, it's not going to go and other these other people.
Right.
Um, because we've seen what can happen. Like, this is the worst thing that could happen, and we saw it. And it's because people's mental state are fragile.
Mhm.
And I also like to bring up, like, we've been talking about the word of wisdom for a few weeks now because we just had a lesson on that with Come Follow Me within the past month or so. And the way that the word of wisdom was set about was for the weakest among us. And so we are our brother's keeper. We will do the things that we need to do in order to lift up those who are weakest among us, those who are weakest physically, those who are weakest mentally, those who are weakest emotionally. We are not we're we're not supposed to just go out there and say things willy-nilly like there's demons here and there's demons there, and not expect somebody who's the weakest among us not to take that as some sort of prompt to go and do some action.
Mhm.
um, so just I think as Latter-day Saints, we just need to be very careful to um uh, yeah, this is just a pre-show to what's coming as we get closer to second coming. It
Yep.
is. And we need to know where we stand. We need to stand firmly on the ground that is Jesus Christ. And we need to know that our words do affect other people, and to make sure that we have the Holy Spirit with us when we um, talk about Christ and we talk
Mhm.
about the gospel of Jesus Christ, and do it in a loving manner. And also, I mean, call it, like I said, what the evangelicals call them out on their behavior as not being acceptable, especially after like something like this. So
Right. I mean,
I that's how I see we can come together, but it takes two sides to come together, and all we can do is do our part. And like maybe the anti-Nephi Lehi's, something happens and you just got to let it go.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's go ahead and continue the video, but let's go ahead and look at this comment here. Is that we can't live in fear. We should be prepared, but not fearful.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oh, you don't have to.
100.
Yeah, if you wanted to finish that video, you could, but I didn't. That I hit the
Yeah,
point that I
there,
need to.
no, I. But the thing is, though, I think in order to drive that point further home, we kind of need to
Oh,
finish
yeah,
this.
that's fine. That's
So,
fine. Go ahead.
yeah,
So if that's not your experience, just move along and realize that there's room for all kinds of feelings. Because expecting people to feel the way that you feel is very much part of
White supremacy.
white supremacy and Mormonism.
oh my gosh.
Go deconstruct some more.
Yeah,
You're not done
deconstruct
yet.
some more. You have to deconstruct your feelings all the time. Constant deconstruction. It's actually not deconstruction. It's destruction.
Destruction.
You
Yeah.
can, yeah. You can take things apart piece by piece and look and analyze, which is what humans do. That's why we exist. That's why the way we
Mhm.
are. But what a lot of uh, these Marxist rhetoric type people want to do is just completely obliviate any kind of social structure you've got or
Yeah.
religious structure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, well, I wanted to kind of show this too, because this is only just the latest out of everything. Like just in the 21st century alone. I mean, there's an entire list of different things that happened in the 19th century. Um, for we have the a whole bunch of things here, but going into the 21st century, this is broken down by decade. Okay, this is insane.
This is against Latter-day Saints. Is that what you're
Against
saying?
this is a list of attacks against Latter-day Saint churches in
Mm,
particular.
mm.
And this is, we have, going just all the way back to 2001, and then, the last 10 years from 2011 to 2020, but we see this list just expanding,
Yeah.
expanding, and even just in the last 5 years, 2021 to now, look at that already. It's only been 5 years.
Yeah, I believe there was a building in, I want to say Mississippi, that I think the arsonist is going to court sometime
Mhm.
soon. But yeah, it's interesting that people want to say, "Oh, it's a persecution complex." No, it's not. It's actually here. It's actually it's
I
actually
mean,
happening.
when you have people that are saying this kind of rhetoric here, let me pull this back up again. When they are saying this kind of rhetoric, round up
Mm.
all the white Mormons in Utah now, round up all the Mormons, none of them in Utah can be trusted. Mormons are not Christian. He was affiliated with Antifa and recently gave a speech. We don't know that. And yes, we should round both of those groups up. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah.
Straight up need to round up every single Mormon on the planet. These people are calling for a repeat of the Missouri extermination order.
Yeah.
These people I don't think they're realizing that they're repeating history. We are seeing people wanting to expand what we saw in Missouri in the 1830s
Oh,
to the
100%.
entire world, if not within the United States. It's happening again, and they don't realize it. And I don't think a lot of the saints realize it either.
Well, I think there's those who want to be a part and be involved on social media, and those who want to, like I said, like remove themselves from society and kind of like create a little protected bubble for them.
Mhm.
The important thing for us to do, and this is what I've advocated for ever since I joined TikTok, and started doing apologetics online. I can't even say it now. Apologetics online is that we need to be involved and we need to see and be aware of the conversations that are being had,
Mhm.
that they think they're having it kind of behind closed doors.
Right.
I've it, it opens up our eyes as to what we need to be aware of, and to have these conversations, to pull out of the darkness into the forefront, these conversations to shine a light on this vitriol and hate that people have. A lot of times it can be misunderstanding, and could be something that, I always say Papa taught them, and when they were a little kid, and they just never had the opportunity to have a conversation about it online or in person or otherwise. But it's important to have these conversations so that idea doesn't get compounded with some other things that go on, and then they never have a chance to vocalize it, and it turns into some chaotic
Right.
ball of hate. So yeah, I think it's important for us to be online and to see what's going on and to see that these people actually think this way. Um, and I am kind of grateful for social media for these people to actually have their guard down so they do say these things.
Mhm.
And just to be aware, you don't need to be afraid of everybody, obviously, because in real life, as I call it, if you have these conversations face to face with people, they're more likely to have a detailed conversation with you, or be less aggressive in their tactics.
Yeah.
So we can't hide, we can't.
No, no, nor should we. This is a good question, though. What exactly do we want unity on? What do you
I would
think, Connie?
like unity in conversation. I mean, that's really all that unity in peace, and peace means that we can talk about things and not be physically violent
Hmm. Yeah,
or
and
destruction of property. That's what we want unity on. We are obviously not going to agree on our doctrine or dogma, and that's totally fine, but we can be united in the purpose of society so we can go forward and build each other up in humanity. So yeah, I'd say unity in humanity. How about that?
11th article of faith. That's what
Hmm.
we claim the privilege of worshiping Almighty God according to the dictates of our own conscience, and allow all men the same privilege. Let them worship how, where, or what they may.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. It doesn't get beyond anything like that. We don't have to agree theologically, and we can have spirited debate.
Yeah,
But the
no
thing
problem
is,
with that.
though, is that no one should have to worry about having their beliefs upheld by the end of a gun.
Hmm.
That's the thing that gets me riled up, is that there are people out there that honestly believe that the only way for their ideology, for their theology even, to be truly upheld is by the end of a sword or by the barrel of a gun.
And
That is
if it's
never
the
how it's
only
supposed to work.
one, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's no wonder. Like, you go into a lot of those that the creedalist history, the times of the Crusades. Like, they took every knee shall bow very seriously, almost too seriously. You know, join us or die was
Hmm.
essentially their call. We as Latter-day Saints, in all of our missionary efforts, will never and have never done that. We will
Agency
never
is
do that.
agency is above all. Like, we believe in the right to choose,
Right.
and we believe in the right to have conversation and to have verbal discourse on that, and making an informed decision on your beliefs, because ultimately
Mhm.
it's between you and God. You're going to stand at the final judgment day. There's nobody there going to take the fall for you except for Jesus Christ, and so you better
Right.
be right with Jesus Christ. um and understand to the best of your ability what that means. There's personal responsibility, and there's personal agency there for that too. And yeah,
Mhm.
uh there's no way that we can tell people what to do. And you're not going to be like a sock puppet for
Well,
God once
and
you
that is
choose
and that
him.
is something that I think was brought up. Like, I've had it said to me before that because of the way that we do our missionary efforts, because
Hmm.
of the way that we spread the gospel, prior to the coming of Jesus Christ again, we will never be as large as the Catholics or even the Muslims or any other religious ideology out there,
Hmm.
simply because we do not use violence in our missionary efforts in order to convert.
Yeah,
We do not say join us or die. We never have.
and
And
never
and
will.
that and never will. And that is something that I think a lot of people just don't quite understand. It's like, how on earth could you be the true church if you are only 17 million throughout the entire world? Well, when did violence start entering into the picture when it came to spreading the gospel? We had
It shouldn't
violence
ever.
committed against us,
Right.
certainly. But when have we ever committed violence and said, join us or die?
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's never happened.
Because we have a different outlook on that. We have a different outlook on gospel.
Right.
We believe that, there's a chance for those who have not fully understood the gospel in this life, to see and be taught the gospel in the next life. And
Mhm.
so death is not it for us. And I think there are quite a few Christians who do believe that all that will be done here on earth, and
Right.
then that's it. And that's just not the case for Latter-day Saints. And so that's why we probably have a more laid back approach to teaching the gospel, because we really would like for people to see the fruits in our lives and the peace that comes even in the midst of chaos. That is the gospel.
Mhm.
And we have peace in the midst of death as well, because we know that's not it. We know
Right.
it's not it.
Well, and I think this is kind of the thing as well, is that a lot of people, and this goes back to a lot of people kind of weaponizing President Nelson's peacemakers needed talks.
Mm, mm,
Um, where for whatever reason they look at 3rd Nephi 11:27 and see any kind of contention is of
right,
the devil. But the
right.
thing is, though, it's the spirit of contention that is of the devil. We are told throughout all of the scriptures that we are to contend for the faith. If these people were to look at, like, someone say like Abinadi, and this is an example I've beaten to death, but it's
Oh,
still
yeah,
so
yeah.
apt. You look at Abinadi standing before King Noah and his priests, and then you put in someone who is like so into the niceness culture that we've allowed to permeate here. It's like, now, Abinadi, you're being contentious. You need to pull back a little bit. Are you kidding me? There's no way. And the thing is, though, is that there is a time and place for that. Don't get me wrong. There is a time and
Right.
place for the more gentle approach, like what Jesus did with the woman at the well. But the thing is, though, is that we also need to be willing to call dogs what they are.
Mhm.
We need to be willing to take out a whip if we need to. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is when it comes to and you brought up a good example there. So like Abinadi, he was talking to people who have already made covenants. He was talking to people who already knew the truth and they were going against it on purpose.
Right.
So I think it's important to call that out. We're talking to people who know what's acceptable and what's not, and we are calling them out on that. Like, you've been taught, we live in America, we have freedom of religion, we have freedom of speech. So this that has nothing to do with the why our dogma's different or why our
Right.
doctrine is different. Like, that's ultimately the crux of the argument here today. It'll be a different one tomorrow, but today. Yeah.
Right. Well, and the thing is, though, is that so many people have this idea that in order to effectively spread the gospel, we have to be nice, and they equate being
Right.
nice with being kind, and
No.
drives me up a wall.
Yeah,
Um,
being firm is not being contentious. Being
right.
contentious is going out of your way to try to stir up trouble. When you are
Mhm.
contending for the faith, you are standing firm in your foundation. And if you are soft, if you're standing on sand, it goes away. So
Mhm.
you have a stronghold, which is your faith. And if you defend it, that's not being contentious at all. Yeah, I totally agree with you, and I know you and I have had conversations about this before. But yeah,
Right.
going out on purpose to say, and this is what, like I said, the negative apologetics. That's what that is. That is
Mhm.
contention. That is the spirit of contention.
Mhm.
Where if you're doing positive apologetics, be like, hey, look at what I have. Look at my life. Look at how peaceful it is for me, even amidst all the chaos. And this is my foundation, that Jesus is the Christ. He's my Lord and Savior and my Redeemer, and it will be okay.
Right.
That saying that in defense of your own faith is not contentious. It is contending for your faith. You have to fight it with the shield of truth. Um, well, with the sword and shield. So that's the shield part of it. So
Right. And this is the one thing, like, I love Truman Madsen, and it breaks my heart that he is that he passed a while ago. But he's probably one of the historians of Joseph Smith and his life and his teachings that I still refer to from time to time. And when talking about Christ-like attributes, particularly about meekness, when you when we think about meekness, we kind of think timid, kind of pull
Right.
back and everything. But
Not at
no,
all.
Joseph Smith, based on the lectures from Truman Madsen, Joseph Smith called the Savior's meekest moment when he quoted Matthew 23, "Oh, you scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites." That was Jesus's meekest moment, according to Joseph Smith. And I think a lot of the times we need to recognize that, like, when we are being meek, meekness is ultimately strength in against opposition.
Right.
Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. They are the ones who are essentially the soldiers for righteousness. And I think that's the circumstance that we have to be here. Like, going into apologetics, whether, despite what tact you may want to take,
Right.
or even when it comes to spreading the gospel, if you want to take more of the missionary route, great, but it takes all kinds. We should never find ourselves in so much of a box to say that the Lord can't use someone or their approach.
Exactly. Everybody has
mean,
a different voice. Everybody receives voices differently. And that's I really appreciate that when it comes to apologetics, because I don't feel like I'm a good evangelist, but I feel like I'm a good I'm good being involved in apologetics. Um, and you're right. Some people might see that as being contentious, but it's within me to do that. And if I don't do that, I go crazy. And so then I will become contentious. Um, so I think that and there I love hearing different viewpoints, and I love hearing how people worship, and I love how they view their own religion and what their takes is on that. And that is it is an amazing unifying thing to have two people who don't agree on hardly anything come together in understanding that we think differently, and I see how you see things the way that you do, and seeing how your brain clicks just a little differently than mine. And it takes a smart person, I think,
right.
to understand and recognize that we don't all think the same. We're not all going to accept everything, all the messages in the same way. And in that way, that's the unity that I'm hoping for, is that we all can see that we operate and we learn things differently. And also the way that we worship. We worship even within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We all worship differently, and to see how talking about it, and to see how you do things, and why you do it, and how it's different than mine, then we can kind of, there's that religious envy. I forgot who had that talk about having a little bit of religious or spiritual religious envy. I don't know if you remember, but that's something about admiring something about somebody else and the way that they practice their faith, and that lifts us up together, and that's the unifying point of doing apologetics, I think, and doing debates
Yes.
and things like that.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, we shouldn't be having this friendly fire against each other because we don't necessarily agree with how someone is doing things. I mean, you and
Right.
we said at the very beginning of this stream, we don't
Yeah.
necessarily agree with our different approaches. Me, I got to match that energy, and you're like, no, I'm gonna own it, and we're gonna try to yank it back down, come hell or high water.
We got it. We got it.
Yeah, there we go. But that's our different approaches, and we recognize that the Lord uses both, especially when it comes to disabusing false narratives.
Exactly. Yep.
And so,
There are certain people that you can reach and you can contact better, and when they block you, then I'll come in and I'll try.
yeah, yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And then you just send me hey, can you look up this video? And I can go into whatever account and
Yeah,
pull them
yeah.
up. But
And you can get out through the back doors there. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But speaking of, we have another one from our Exmo friend.
Oh boy.
So a
Okay.
follow-up to this that's nearly 3 times as long. So let's see what she says here.
Billy, you said a lot here. Let's break it down, shall we? Whenever I see somebody say your lifestyle, red flag. Big, bright, blaring, in your face, red flag.
Oh, gee, I wonder why. Mainly because it is a lifestyle. Like, she may think
I
that
don't
it's a
know a
red
lot of this.
flag. Like,
And how does this? I don't see even messing with Sarah. I don't even know. But like, how is it? Using this has all been springboarded off of the
mhm,
tragedy that happened in Grand Blanc. Like, I don't understand why it has to come back around to like me.
right,
There was a tragedy that happened, and we can understand that people think differently than us and let it go. I just don't understand it.
right.
What lifestyle? Being gay is not a lifestyle.
Yes, it is.
Being trans is not a lifestyle.
Yes, it is.
So what lifestyle? Second off, Mormons deserve to be killed. Nowhere in my video did I say anything like that.
Okay.
See, yeah,
She
hold on. See, because she implied something in another video, and then she didn't say that. They always do this word salad thing where it's
uh-huh.
like I didn't actually say what you thought I implied. Like, no, you didn't
Mhm.
actually say it, but you implied that something nefarious is I don't know. I can't translate what I'm thinking, but we all
But
know it. We all
yeah,
hear it. We all understand it when we listen to it.
we
That there is
understand the
something there.
subtext.
Exactly. And so while she has what did she say, confusing feelings or something about it?
Mhm.
We understand that there's part of her that is like, all right, maybe they kind of deserved it or
Yeah.
something like that. Like
Well,
like this is a 1-2 punch to the organization that is the
right.
church. I
Yeah,
don't get it.
because it has it's hateful rhetoric and bigoted. Like that's the justification that was used. Like
Yeah,
it's
but what is I just don't understand what's hateful rhetoric versus an actual action that
right.
happened. Like, there has been no action against individuals by teaching uh morals and values, and if you don't agree with that, then then that's something you can, yeah, it's not okay, but there's ways that you can disagree with the church and not think that some things that happen to it are
Mhm.
okay. I my brain, I'm even just fumbling on my words because my brain can't even comprehend like just the amount of thought power that goes into thinking about the church all the time, constantly, to the point where I'm not even living my life, and then harassing other members about being a part of the church, regardless of if there's a tragic event or not. And
Right.
especially if there's a tragic event, you would think that all of the white supremacy and whatever kind of like patriarchy jargon would go out the window if you were actually and sincerely sorry for what happened. But no, we have to use it and twist it around. It's the same thing with the evangelicals. Just
Yeah.
take some narrative and twist it around and use it to promote your own message. I don't know. I don't get it.
It's I don't get it either, but yeah.
Why is that where your mind goes? I never said anything of the kind. Violence is acceptable now. That is one of the widest things I've ever heard. Violence has always been acceptable. There's a
Whoa! Okay. I kind of wish I viewed the video before I actually put this up here. But what?
Yeah, I think I remember what she's talking about next, but she's talking about the all of the, yeah, I wouldn't play any more of that because I think that she's gonna say words that
Yeah,
are not TikTok friendly.
yeah.
But she goes on to say that violence was acceptable when other people are involved that weren't white and male, essentially. So
Yeah.
if y'all want to go check out her page, you guys can. But yeah, so there's a lot of that Marxist jargon, so everything's acceptable when it's minority driven,
Hmm.
and it's just a socialist Marxist kind of ideology
Well,
that I
yeah.
can't get
uh,
behind.
uh,
And some things are justified when it's against the majority race
mhm.
or male population. So sorry, Evan, you're out of luck being a white guy.
Oh gosh. See, this is the oh gosh, the circumstances of what she said. Violence has always been acceptable. No. No, it's
No,
never been
it's not.
acceptable. The only way that, like you said, is if you somehow think that words are violent.
Right. And
Like
that's the position that she takes because there's m- a sexual minority that has taken their own lives because of verbal rhetoric, which
right.
doesn't make sense. So
It makes no
anyway,
sense.
yeah.
And again, we are wondering why people are having such a vitriolic response when they're saying things like this
Hmm.
all over the place
And
when the
not to
bodies aren't
mention,
even cold.
to kind of bring it all around again. This is something that you and I have dealt with online because we do
Mhm.
this as a kind of a demented hobby. But we do apologetics and we've done it for years now, and so these are things that we've seen all the time. But you and I are of the mental capacity to understand where the sources of these claims come from and how to argue against them and how to stand fast and stand firm in what we believe while at the same time articulating arguments against it. Um, when it I'm actually honestly surprised that something more hasn't happened and happened sooner, because of I mean, we've all heard of most of these people who come on, they've had some sort of relation to a Latter-day Saint, whether they dated a Mormon
Mhm.
while they were younger and she dumped them or whatever. And then all of a sudden there's like this massive hate towards Mormons. Um, so this being not new to us, this is my plea for all those who want to come on and do apologetics, kind of like what we do. Is I get a testimony, get a firm testimony of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And this goes for anybody. If you're Catholic, if you're evangelical Protestant, if you're if you're Jehovah's Witness, whatever. If you feel like you want to come online and do debates and do apologetics, that's totally fine. I'm all for that. But be firm in your testimony and also be open to hear the arguments of other people. There is a place for dialogue, and there's a place and a way to do
Mhm.
it peacefully, and also a way to do it to where your soul's not broken in the process. But if you don't if you feel like you want to come on and defend the faith, just know your faith and study the scriptures daily and pray daily. Pray before you get online and do it. It's very difficult, and sometimes you do have to take breaks and focus on your home life, obviously. But it can get all consuming. And I don't know. I mean, I've seen it. I've had to do social media fast. Evan, I know you've probably had to take breaks doing stuff because it can get all too consuming. And even just uh rebutting half of these comments that we see, it can take up all of our mind space for it. And if you're not constantly vigilant in trying to keep the Holy Spirit with you and trying to study the gospel and trying to reaffirm your testimony, it can take a toll. And so for these people who like this perpetrator who did this thing, um he's one that obviously wasn't
Mhm.
very strong mentally when it came to his own personal beliefs, and let that sweep him away into a frenzy, and that's very unfortunate. So I don't know, did you have
No,
any takes on
I
on doing
I absolutely
apologetics?
agree. with what you just said. I mean, the circumstances that we find ourselves in, especially in the online space, it can get really nasty really quick. And like you said, if we
Really
do
quick.
not have that solid testimony, if we are not solidly on the foundation of the gospel of Jesus Christ, if we are not solidly on that bedrock of living prophets and apostles with Jesus Christ as the chief cornerstone, we're going to get swept away really quick. And we've seen it happen quite a bit. It's very
Mhm.
heartbreaking when it does.
Yep.
But at the same time, we've also
Mhm.
seen so many people come into the church and come back to the church.
Right.
I mean, they like
Because they saw an argument that
Mhm.
an answer to an argument that they hadn't seen before. I've
Yeah.
seen that as
And
well.
and the
Yeah.
thing is that like think about what we've seen in just the last couple of years alone. Like how many people we've seen enter into the waters of baptism, and they will credit
Mm.
again. This is not to toot our own horns or anything like that at all, but they will
No,
credit us as far as getting them on the path that they to get there. And that is like
'cause I saw
Mhm.
an open dialogue that people were having, and they had an ear open to hear our answers to
and
certain
and
questions that they had.
and
Yeah,
the
it
best thing about
happens.
it is that we were genuine about it. We weren't the
Yes. Yeah.
Stanford, we weren't in Stanford, basically. You know
Yeah. We don't go after the individuals and say, "Hey, what you believe right now,
Mhm,
that's actually wrong." Like, that's not what we do. We say, "Okay, well, if you have questions about the Latter-day Saint faith, I can answer those," and then present and even they might be in the audience when we're having a conversation with somebody else who is trying to come after Latter-day Saints. Now there are times when, the conversation gets started, and then we do go after, the
mhm.
Trinity and ask them questions about, like, "Where is that found in the
Right,
Bible?" and things like that. And there is a purpose to that, but it's to help other people think, like, we're not trying to get at the integrity of
right.
the individual.
Well,
So,
I mean, like,
yeah.
and I we're kinda wrapping up here, but I do wanna show this again.
Yep.
This is Christianity.
Yes.
This is what
Mhm.
Christianity is meant to look like. This is, again, love your enemies. Do good to them that hate you. Pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you. This is it right here. If you guys want to give and help the Sanford family, you know, despite what their father did, please do so.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Like I endorse this 100%. And
Yeah.
this is the one thing that I will say. Like I wouldn't be able to give much, and then I would have to echo what King Benjamin says in Mosiah. If I had, I would give. If you can't give,
Yeah.
share it.
What how much have they
Their
raised so
goal is
far?
$200,000. They've raised 113, almost 114,000. Yeah,
That's
this is
amazing.
fantastic.
That's
So yeah,
amazing.
share this far and wide.
And this is just a one family, and, there are
Mhm.
fundraisers I know for the other families who are affected, but I do know if you are a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you can go on and probably donate to the church with the note there at the bottom to
Yes.
donate to this special cause. Also, if you are not a member of our church, you can go to any church building and you can donate there, and you too can also say that this is going to this one cause, and it will get there. Um, the I think there are some other fundraisers, but I don't have them up right now.
No.
I think there's some on some discords, but anyway, yeah, that's what it's all about. We need to be there for those who are mourning and suffering, and that
Yeah.
that still blows my mind.
Yeah,
That's
and
amazing
honestly,
fundraiser.
like, will like the GoFundMe for the victims of the shooting, absolutely. If you can get to that as well, absolutely do so. But
Mhm.
again, if like what I mentioned earlier with what King Benjamin said, if I had, I would give, but I give not because I have not. Share it. That's what you can do. Share it, and that way, to
Yeah.
those that can give, will give. And I think that's the important thing here. That's one of the best ways that we can promote unity as Latter-day Saints and with the rest of the broader Christian community. We can argue about whether or not our Christologies are actually in line with the Bible another time, but for right now, Let's focus on what we can do. Let's focus on what is actually important, not allowing ourselves to
Mhm.
have such contempt for God that it turns into contempt for life itself. So, any final words, Cami?
No,
To that.
amen to that.
All
It's a
right.
good one. Thanks,
Not a
Monty.
problem. Thanks
Appreciate you.
again for everybody watching, and we